How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian, and today we've got our Game Week 4 review for FPL. Now, a lot of you guys must be loving the advice on the channel because last week I was telling you, do not be bringing in any more Chelsea assets. No Sterling, no Jackson, because they are going to absolutely flop. Over 1 million people brought in Sterling only because he bagged 2 goals against a very struggling Luton and expected him to do it again right away against Nottingham Forest, even though Nottingham Forest have been performing quite well. Some of the AI tools out there and some of the so-called experts have been telling you, nope, Nicholas Jackson, he's going to become good. There's a player there. He's not, though. I've been telling you, don't do it. He is not a good player because Chelsea are really underperforming. They've been absolutely tragic, and I do not see that turning around anytime soon. They have an incredible fixtures coming up on paper, but that does not mean they're going to do well. Chelsea are really struggling. So many people are bringing in Gusto and Colwell and Nicholas Jackson, and even having a look at other players like Conor Gallagher or Mudryk's coming back from injury. Just avoid, man. Do not be treating this like the stock market where the prices go up and other people are buying them and do it. It's very, very, very bad idea, and I really highly recommend you do not be bringing in any more Chelsea assets. I've only got one in my team, and that's Chilwell, and that's because he's a left back playing left wing, so his expected goal involvement is going to go a lot higher. But he's not doing that well either. He's got the chance of keeping a clean sheet, but Chelsea just look tragic right now. You should be bringing in players like Awoniyi, probably Maddison, after keeping so many consistent games now where he's getting high points. And realistically, the other player I'm looking at is Son. So we're going to do a bit more of a deep dive into why I'm thinking them players are the best choice. But if you are new around here and want to stay up to date with the best FPL tips and tricks, make sure to drop a sub down below into the channel. I am going to be doing a watch along for the Scotland games coming up this Friday and next Tuesday, where we take on Cyprus and then the Owl Enemy in England. So if you want to come along and see how I really do some post-match analysis, how I actually see the game happening, come along, have some fun. We'll be watching them games on those nights. So without any further ado, let's get into the team reviews for Game Week 4 of FPL. I've literally finished above average now 4 consecutive weeks, so I really seem to be having a fantastic start, sitting in the top 100k points, 100k in the world right now. So let's get into it. So this is my team here. We've got 77 points when the average is 22, or 72, sorry. That's fine. I'll live with that. It's my defence that really let me down this week. That Prickford getting 1 point again, scoring an OG. Absolutely abysmal. The back line is fine. Like Chilwell conceding 1 is not great. Chelsea are just looking absolutely shocking. I'm not really... He is on my list where I might be selling him because look at the points he's had. He had a good start, 7, 1, 6, 1. It's actually not great at all, and with the upcoming fixtures looking okay on paper, I expect Villa to beat them. I expect Fulham to score. Bournemouth away, they probably should have scored against Spurs last week, so I'm expecting them to get a home game soon, where they're going to get some goals. They got 2 against Brentford, and I don't see how they couldn't do that to Chelsea as well. Chilwell is probably going to be on the chopping block, but not as high as Prickford. He is definitely going to be going sometime soon. Saliba, I did bank on that he was going to be coming into the team, even though he was playing Man United. I expected a bit more from him, but he was pretty solid. He had a great game. I'm expecting now with the upcoming fixtures, especially with Everton being the next one, that he's going to do well, and there's an upcoming clean sheet for Arsenal sometime soon. Estupiñán, very unlucky not to get the clean sheet at the very end. Newcastle got Callum Wilson's goal there to keep that 3-1 after unbelievable performance from Evan Ferguson. He looks fantastic for such a young guy as well. Might be looking at him in the future, but realistically, I'm happy enough with my striking options here. The one sub I did make was getting João Pedro out for Cameron Archer, who I did start on the bench under the premise that I think he was going to come on as a substitute rather than start the game, but you don't get them all right. He ended up having a blinder with a goal and assist and getting 3 bonus points. Overall, I'm happy. I don't really have to speak much about Haaland. Is 29% or 99% of the world, but they had him captain, so it makes things quite reasonable that you're just going to sort of balance out with everyone on that. Captaincy is not really going to be a huge thing this year because everyone's just going to keep it on him. In terms of my midfield though, Mbeumo got his points, which was happy enough with after blanking the week before. Apart from Bruno Fernandes, everyone got involved in some way or another, which is fine. I do regret maybe not bringing in Maddison, but the fact I've got Archer now at 4.5 is probably going to give me a lot more money to spend when I've still got 2.5 mil in the bank and 2 free transfers now that international break and the transfer deadline day is all done. I can do some analysis next week whenever that's all done to make the right decisions based on the data that we've got so far, which I'm quite happy with. Turner I'm definitely keeping because Nottingham Forest look pretty good. I do expect them to get more clean sheets in the upcoming weeks, but yeah, I'm overall happy with this. It could be better in some places, but now it's time to have a look at the other players and the ins and outs and see what people are buying. So we can see here that Son has already been brought in over 250,000 times, followed by Julian Alvarez. That makes a lot of sense to me, based on how they've gone. This seems like a panic buy because Spurs are actually playing well. The panic buys last week with everyone bringing in Jackson and Sterling was based on the fact that they got well against Luton, but they haven't looked good overall, whereas Spurs have actually looked good as a team, which makes them much more viable assets to have. One of the biggest things is missing from my team is a Spurs asset, and Son definitely looks to be the one I'm going to be bringing in, just based on the fact he is playing that striker role, and if I leave it one more game week it could be an issue. The only problem with is the fixtures for Son isn't looking too great. With they've got an easier one next week, but going straight in after that they're going to be playing Arsenal, which is obviously their North London derby fixture, so I might hold off on that one until then and maybe try and build my team in some other places. The fact that Maddison and Udogie are also looking fantastic Spurs assets to own, I really need to have an evaluation to see where they're all going to go, but that's also going to be next week after the international break. So many people already seem to be jumping on the Evan Ferguson bandwagon. That's fine, based on the price he's got. He's definitely going to go up in price now, and Brighton have had like a very on and off, or hot and cold as people say, start to the season, like some tough fixtures and some good results, but beating Newcastle that's something that's going to turn a few heads based on the fact that they'd got a draw there last season and they look pretty good going for it now. Evan Ferguson getting a couple of starts, obviously a lot of bonus points, comes with a hat-trick as well. He's looking pretty solid. Be happy enough to bring him in down the line, but it's the fact that Brighton's fixtures are going to get a little bit more tough from this point on. I'm sort of just being cautious about that, not jumping on like just because he performed well against Luton and blah blah blah. You know what I'm going to say over and over. But happy enough, the fact that people are bringing him in, it makes a lot more sense. Romero, though, however, I don't know. Not enough data to back that up. He's had a good start to the season. Can he keep it up? Meh. Is he going to continue to do that? Meh. I don't know. Don't see it happening. There's much more valuable assets like with Udogie that would make a lot more sense, and maybe even Pedro Porro, if you wanted to stretch that to maybe have him as a differential, but it's up to yourself to decide. Realistically, it'd be stupid not to have Udogie, but we're going to see a lot further down the line how that's going to go. Nicholas Jackson has been shafted out of so many teams now, which is, it's a shame to see, because I've been calling it now for so long, and it seems like people are starting to listen. Overall, now that people are actually seeing the information now that he should be gone. Like all the AI tools and a lot of the so-called fantasy football experts keep saying to bring him in, he's going to be a great player. There's no data to back that up, apart from one person said it and other people copied it. If you watch him, he's out of position all the time. How many yellow cards has he had now? It's 3 yellow cards he's had in 4 games. The guy's clumsy. He's not a good footballer. He got 1 goal in 4 games, and that was against Luton. He's not there. He's not a complete footballer. I've been saying this for a while now, but people seem to actually be catching on now to what I was saying. So if you do want to stay up to date with the smartest football tips, sit down below. Come and subscribe to the channel, where I'll be giving out my analysis and everything going on with that, with actual data to back up my thought process instead of just gut feelings. Although Awanyane was always a guy that I was looking at without any much data, I still brought him in for a captaincy when he got his goal. Looking at else, you got Isak, he's getting shafted out a lot. João Pedro, he was definitely on the chopping block because he wasn't starting so many games, but with Brighton now having a few injuries, he's going to get a few more games. We don't know who's going to be in the next penalty for them. If he is starting or on the pitch, I would imagine it's him. Wissa getting taken out is a little bit of a surprise, because Brentford did win. It's only probably because he didn't have a goal involvement at the weekend. Brian Mbeumo did again, so I'm happy enough that I don't know, I would keep him. But realistically, what a lot of these people are doing is making the decisions so harshly. Wait until after the international break. There's so many people now that are just jumping on, get this all done, get this all sorted, but there's a while to go yet before we have to actually look at any decisions here. It doesn't seem the smartest. getting rid of like a player like Wissa right now, especially with Brentford's upcoming fixtures. They've got Newcastle, but Newcastle don't look that great. They've got Everton, which you definitely want to target that when you're at home. Nottingham Forest is not an easy game in terms of the fact it's ranked as a 2. It definitely looks a lot tougher. Then they get Man United away. That's always a tough game, but if they perform like Wolves did, then it goes back to not too bad again. So I wouldn't be too on the trigger finger getting rid of Wissa. Wissa, however you pronounce it. He's a player I'd keep on my team for a wee while. You can see Son got the team of the week, even though Erling Haaland had the exact same amount of points. But honest to God, not a bad time. The team of the week here, as you can see, pretty solid. The fact that they've all got that sort of double-digit points, except for Alisson Becker. Is that probably just because he didn't get a bonus point in his team? No, he did get one. He got one bonus point. But yeah, it seems to be an overall good result so far for the week. The players I am mainly looking at, as I've said, are Son, Maddison and Udogie as a Spurs asset. Kieran Trippier, as we can see here, he looks like he's going to get some good game weeks now, because looking at the Newcastle fixtures, even though they've not performed well, they've got a good run here. And there's a lot of green. I know there's a lot of tough teams in there, but looking at Newcastle fixtures, the fact that Kieran Trippier is available for me just to do a straight trade. So if I was to take out even just Baldock, I can bring in Kieran Trippier without even having to worry about selling somebody else. Because I have 2.5 in the bank as well as a free transfer. But if I did that, I would have to take a hit to get Son in, but I could get Maddison in. It's going to have to be something I'm going to assess after the international break. But I'm happy enough with the fact that that would be a good fixture to bring in. Having these four in defence, able to swap and change depending on the week. But Pickford is definitely going to go probably for Areola, if I have enough money for him. But yeah, this all depends on how the international break goes. I don't want to be too hasty and do any rash decisions this early. But I'm happy enough with the team. Going into the international break now, a good time to take a wee bit of a reset. Make sure to submit your teams to my Instagram down below for review. I've already got 2 sent in, and we'll try and do about 5. So the first 5 to send one through, I'll be doing a review of your team, and then having a look at that for next week, probably Wednesday or Thursday, after I do the watch-alongs for the upcoming Scotland games. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and I love the support on the channel so far. And if you do want to have the best tips in fantasy football, make sure to drop a sub down below. I'll be having a look at all your teams and telling you how you can improve them for the upcoming game week, which will be game week 5. Thank you everyone for watching. Please drop a like on the video if you are new around here, and I will see you Friday for this football for Scotland. Goodbye.